Welcome back everyone to another YouTube video. Today I'm going to be discussing a few teams that I think could really make some noise in March Madness this year, whether that's winning just one game or a couple games or maybe even 3 games. I think these teams have a chance to be potential bracket busters. Before I get into that, I want to make a few quick disclaimers. Number one being predicting March Madness, predicting the NCAA tournament is largely based on luck. So don't take all of this advice. It's probably going to be wrong. And the second disclaimer is that with minimal fan attendance, I guess that there's probably going to be less upsets this year than there have been in past. Fans play a huge part in the game, and without them, I think there will be less upsets and the better team will win more often. But with that being said, let's get right into it. All right, so the first team that I have that can be a potential bracket buster is the Bobcats out of Ohio University. They're 16-7, they're 9-5 in their conference, and while that doesn't sound that special, they've got 5 guys averaging in double figures. They score 80.9 points per game, which is 17th in the country. Their defense is nothing special, but they're hot after winning the MAC championship. Their last 3 games, they've averaged 51.9% shooting from the field and 44.8% from 3. They took a bad loss to Buffalo by 20 in late February, but if you look at that game, they shot the lowest field goal percentage and 3-point percentage in their entire season at 37.3% and 16.7% respectively. They take on a Virginia team that withdrew from the ACC tournament due to COVID, so how fresh will they be? COVID is going to make this tournament very hard to predict, but like Jay Billis said, this tournament is going to get done. It's a money thing at this point. Virginia has not looked consistent this year as it is. They have 3 losses in the last 6 games, but they are defending champs, so don't count them out. If Ohio wins, I could see them stealing another against Creighton, assuming they win. Creighton just got ran out of the gym by Georgetown and have showed inconsistencies themselves. Creighton, I think, can bounce back though, but with a guy like Jason Preston leading the Bobcats, I think they can really make a run. Preston has one of the best stories in college basketball. He's really emerged as a great player. I think with him leading them, they could have a Cinderella type story. All right, the next team that I've got that could potentially mess up some brackets is the 8 seed LSU. They're 18-9, 11-6 in their conference. They score 82.1 points per game, which is ranked 8th in the country. They're not the best defensively, nor are they the most efficient team, but they score. They're red hot at the end of their season, and they surprised a lot of people by getting to the SEC championship. And honestly, they had a couple great looks at the end of that game to win it. They could very well have been SEC tournament champs. They have arguably the best scorer in the entire country in Cam Thomas, who's putting up 22.6 points per game. If he gets hot, they're a whole different level of good. They have 3 guys averaging 16 points per game or higher, but then it falls off hard from there. The next one is 11 points and then 3 points. If they get past St. Bonaventure, which may or may not happen, I think they have a legitimate shot to beat Michigan, especially without Isaiah Livers, and just the poor momentum that Michigan is bringing into the tournament. Realistically though, I don't know if I'm going to have them beating Michigan just because Michigan is that good, and they can key on a guy like Thomas. We may not even see the matchup though, so this may be premature. St. Bonaventure is no slouch, and anything can happen in March. So, with that being said, if LSU beats St. Bonaventure, I think they have a fair chance to beat Michigan. The third team that I think could mess up some brackets, statistically, there's nothing special about this team. They're 13-12, they're 7-9 in their conference. They're in the bottom half of the country in both offensive and defensive rating. They don't do anything particularly well. So why are they on this list? Well, they won the Big East this weekend after finishing 8th in the regular season out of 11 schools. That's right, it's Georgetown University. They blew Creighton out of the water in the championship game, winning 73-48. They started off the season horribly. They were 3-8, but they have steadily been trending upward, and they're on a 4-game win streak as it is. They take on a Colorado team out of a weak Pac-12 conference. They have all the momentum in the world. Patrick Ewing is a player's coach. Do I realistically see them getting past Florida State, though? No. But have the Seminoles shown their inconsistencies as well? Yes. After all, it is March. Anything can happen, and that's why I love this season of basketball. The fourth team that I can see being a potential bracket buster is the 12 seed Winthrop. They're 23-1. They score 79.5 points per game, which is 30th in the nation. They get to the free throw line at a high rate at 21.8 attempts per game, which is 37th in the nation. They're one of the best rebounding teams in the country at 40.3 rebounds per game, which is 11th in the country, and 13 offensive rebounds per game, which is 13th in the country. They have 4 upperclassmen averaging over 10 points per game. They don't have any quality wins, but 23-1 is 23-1. They take on a Colin Gillespie-less Villanova team, and I've said this since the beginning of the season. Colin Gillespie is the heart and soul of that team. Villanova is so much weaker without him. Also, Nova has lost 3 out of their last 4. But Jay Wright is the man. He's a fantastic coach, so nothing is certain. But you've got to pick a 12 seed over a 5 seed every single year. And if you're going to do it, I would do it on this one. All right, the last team that I have that could be a potential bracket buster is the 14 seed Colgate. Listen, I love Arkansas and Moses Moody, but it would be foolish to not at least entertain the possibility of Colgate stealing a couple of games. They're 14-1. They score 83.6 points per game, which is second in the country. They have a fast-paced team. They get up and down the court. They don't mess around with the ball. They shoot 63.1 shots per game, which is 17th in the country, and they make 31.5 of those, which is second in the nation. They shoot 40.2% from 3, which is third in the country, and they have 17.5 assists per game, and that's 10th in the country. They're on a 13-game win streak, which means they lost only their second game of the season. And like I said, I like Arkansas a lot. So if Colgate was playing any other team, if they were playing any other 3 seed, I would be much more apt to pick them. But like I've said, March is March. If they win against Arkansas, I would pick them without a question over North Texas or Texas Tech. And maybe even if they catch Ohio State on the right day, they might catch a win there as well. To be fair, I have not watched any Colgate basketball. This is all off statistics. I have watched a few highlights and they look legit. So what I'm trying to say is take my word with a grain of salt pretty much on all of these because, like I said at the beginning, March is super hard to predict. Thank you everyone for tuning in to another YouTube video. I appreciate it if you made it this far, if you support my page. If you don't mind dropping a like, commenting, or subscribing if you feel inclined to do so. It really helps motivate me and push this video to the algorithm. But if you're new to this page or you stay just for this point, at the end of every video, I discuss a Bible verse. I'm pretty involved with my faith. If you want to listen, that's great. If not, no judgment. I appreciate you just tuning in and making it this far as it is. And I wish you the best in the future. But today we've got Romans 12:16, and it says, "Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of low position. Do not be conceited." Paul lays out the basic rules for us to live by. He explicitly says to live in harmony with one another. With everything that's going on in the world today, I think this is a great part of the verse. God put us here to love each other, not hate. It's Satan that's filled the world with hate, and only Jesus can unite us. Paul also says to not be proud. Just because you were given a certain privilege or have a higher economic standing or a higher happiness level than someone else doesn't make you better than them. God wants us to love everyone, especially our enemies. Thank you if you made it this far. I appreciate it so much. God bless.